left arm and the club shaft creating an angle. Now, the longer you hold this angle on your downswing, the farther you're going to hit the ball. Now, that's the long ball secret. So the long ball secret is your left arm and the club shaft creating a V. The longer you hold this V, the farther you'll hit the ball. Now, how do you get into this swing? How do you get into the long ball secret? Well, there's 5 simple steps. In the hammer attack angle, you'll see that my hands are actually below my waist and the club head is behind my head just before impact. The only way you can get into this attack angle is the long ball secret. And if you have my method, you can experience the long ball attack angle every time. So let's take a look at the conventional golf swing and really see if we can find out why it's so difficult to play golf. Well, if you take a look at the basic setup of a conventional golf swing, you'll see my feet are square, my left arm is straight, my shoulders are parallel to the ball. Basically, in this position, I have no chance to really hammer the ball. So what's really wrong with a conventional swing? Why doesn't it help you really hit the long ball? Well, you've all been taught that you've got to think about all these multiple swing thoughts. You've got to think about the takeaway. You've got to think about the inside out, outside in. You've got to think about where the club head is at the top of your swing. You have to think about initiating your downswing with rolling of your wrist. Well, how silly is that? Think about this. Impact is 1/1000th of a second. So how in the world can you think about anything during your golf swing? So the beauty of the long ball secret is you've got 5 setups, 5 mechanical setups that you set yourself up in every time, and everything else happens automatically. The conventional swing is based on muscle memory. It's based on playing golf 3 times a week for 20 years, hoping and praying that someday you can get some consistency in your golf game. If you go to a driving range and take a look at golfers, on the driving range, you'll see one common problem where all golfers have, at least 90% of them. And what they do is they take the club back, and they take it back in multiple paths. At the same time, they take it back with their upper body swing, their lower body swing, and their weight's drifting to the outside of your right foot. Well, if this happens, you've got about a 1 in 10 chance of getting back to that ball square. The long ball secret solves all that. Let's take a look at the conventional golf swing. Well, what you see, basically my feet are square or parallel to each other. Now, this is a very big problem because what happens in the takeaway, and I'm telling you, 90% of the golfers have this problem when they take the club back. What happens is they take the club back and their weight actually drifts to the outside of their right foot, right leg, which basically you have no chance of getting back to the ball squarely. At the same time, the other ingrained problem that you have, if your weight transfers, you have your hips sliding and you also have your head being pulled off center. Well, when this happens, it's disaster. With your feet square or parallel, another ingrained problem with this is you have a tendency to slide your hips to the right instead of rotate them, as well as your head. Now think about that. If you have your upper body moving off the ball, how in the world are you going to be hitting the ball squarely? You have no chance. The long ball secret solves all that. Another problem with a conventional swing is the takeaway. You've been taught to think about all these different things relative to the takeaway. Inside out, outside in. So basically, you're sitting here taking the club back and you have no idea how to take the club head back. So what I call this is infinity. You're absolutely lost. And I can tell you that the takeaway dictates where the ball ends up in the fairway. So it's very important how you take that club back. The straightness in a golf shot is totally dependent upon how you take the club back. And a long ball secret solves all that with the perfect takeaway, with the robotic takeaway, so it's the same every time. Another thing that you've all been taught relative to a traditional golf swing is that firm left arm. With my firm left arm, my shoulders are basically parallel to the ball. Well, if your shoulders are parallel to the ball, you've got no chance whatsoever to hammer a golf ball. I have 6 world records that prove that my left arm bent at address is going to help you hit the long ball. What happens on the downswing is if your shoulders are parallel to the ball, basically you've got to release early. You've got to release the club almost at shoulder height, which gives you no chance to create the hammer attack angle. Now, this happens because you have a firm left arm. The firm left arm dictates that your shoulders are parallel to the ball. If your shoulders are parallel to the ball, at address, you have to release early. It looks like this. Here's your early release on the downswing, where, remember, the hammer attack angle is the deeper the V, the deeper you hit the ball in the fairway. So it looks like this. My left arm and this club shaft creating a V. Now, the longer I get into this angle on the downswing, the more I'm going to experience the long ball secret. If you're in this position on the downswing, you've let all the power out of your swing. Basically, you're casting the club. You're casting the club from the top. The leverage and torque of your golf swing is over. The only way you can hold that angle is the long ball secret. And there's 5 simple steps to get you in that position at the address. Now, here's the conventional release on the downswing, where the club is basically parallel to the ground. Let's look at the hammer attack angle, or the long ball secret, where my hands are below my waist and the club head is behind my head. Now, you decide who really has more momentum, who really has that trigger effect on the downswing. The parallel to the ground at this point, or where your hands are below your waist and the club head is behind my head. Well, the long ball secret has got power that you've never experienced. You're going to experience so much whip, so much club head speed, you almost fall down the first time you swing it. It's that unbelievable. Now let's take a look at the 5 simple steps in the setup, in your address position, to experience the long ball secret.